do you say to Kidayo Central Choir? It is a choir that has stood the test of time. 33 years singing. This is no small accomplishment. I would like to thank the leadership that has held this choir. Remember, they began as youth. Kidayo is Kampala Inter-District Adventist Youth Organization. At this moment, allow me to thank the men and the women in uniform today. And I want the church to say amen to the Lord. We want to thank you for coming. And we want you to come again. We have begun a new chapter and to the ministry to our men and women in uniform across the country. It is our hope that we will establish many units across the country under one banner, National Service Organization. At this moment, allow me to invite our leader of chaplaincy and at General Conference, Dr. Mario Ceballos, to come and say his remarks before we can wind up. And I hope you and I have had a good time socializing together. Brother Mario.
The rain is one of the best friends of a pastor, because it began to rain and everybody came in church. I listened to the comments, so I know that there is always questions and controversies surrounding serving the military, the police, and also in prisons as guards, and we have a lot of, as we say where I come from, a lot of brass, a lot of people with high ranks. We have inspectors and commissioners, I understand, majors, captains, lieutenants. So we are very well protected in this country. Before I finish, because we are going nowhere with this rain, I'd like to share a couple of things for you. There is a beautiful story in the book of 2 Kings. I believe it's chapter 5. Can anyone help me? What is chapter 5 talking about? Can someone help me or read for me what is the first verse? Chapter 5, 2 Kings. Anybody? Anybody with a Bible? And also we need a microphone. Anybody with a Bible and a microphone? They're getting a microphone from me? And it's not hot. It was hot earlier, but it's getting a lot better now. Okay, we got somebody here with a Bible. And he's getting a microphone. These are good microphones. We don't get COVID with these microphones. Too many stuff they put in it. Okay. Can you read it for me?
2 Kings.
2 Kings. Chapter 5, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, verse 1.
Verse 1 says, Now Naaman, captain of the host of the king of Syria, was a great man with his master and honorable, because him the Lord had given deliverance unto Syria. He was also a mighty man in valor, but he was a leper.
Okay, very good. Have a seat. I want you to mark that verse and to read it. I'm going to tell you the story, but I want you to read it tonight. Especially those of you in uniform, and I imagine there are others that are not here that work in the government here in Uganda. It begins by saying that there was a man whose name was what? And he was what? He was a what? A captain. You know, English is good. English is not my mother tongue. I like Spanish because that was my first language. And when I read that chapter, I like to read it in Spanish. It sounds better in Spanish. I'm going to translate it for you. In Spanish, it's basically the same. It says that there was a man whose name was Naaman, and he was, can you tell me what it was? He says he was a general. He was a general. That's what the Spanish says. That's the Spanish translation. I like that translation. I imagine that some of you that are in the military, you have seen generals. You have, huh? Actually, we have in our church, one of our members of our church is the Deputy Chief of Chaplains for the United States Army. And his name is General Andrew Herwood. I was with him the other day. An impressive man. I love the uniform, and he has 1 star. He's a brigadier general. You know the rank, brigadier general. When I was in the army, I did join the army. I remember the first time I saw a general. I will never forget his name. And that was a long time ago. I was about 20 years old, and I'm 69 now. Long time ago. And I was with my people. I was a pharmacy technician. But one time we had to go to some training in the army. And we were out in the field in Fort Hood, Texas. And we were told that General Cavazos was coming to visit us. And I remember we all were dressed up like you guys, and with our field uniform and ready for General Cavazos to come and inspect us. And we heard the sound of helicopters. And there were 3 shining Huey helicopters. They came in and they landed in front of us. This general, General Cavazos, was the commanding general for Fort Hood and 3 Corps, the largest army installation in the free world. Under his command was the 1st Armored Division, the 2nd Cavalry Division, the 6th Air Cavalry Division, and a couple of other tanks and helicopters and all of that, and even planes. And he was a full general. You know, brigadier is 1 star. 2 stars is what? A major general. 3 stars? A lieutenant general. 4 star is a full general. In the United States, there is another rank. There is no one with that rank right now because they only give that rank during time of war. That's a 5 star. It's called the General of the Armies. Well, he was a 4 star. General Cavazos was a 4 star. So when 3 helicopters land in front of us, the middle helicopter has 4 stars painted on the door. The sergeants jump and they open the door, and there comes General Cavazos, a very, very impressive man. He wasn't tall, he was short. His uniform was very crisp. So I can imagine Naaman being a general. And we all know the story. I'm going to make it short. But the story tells us about him was a good general. He was a man of valor. The king loved him. He went to Israel, killed a bunch of people, and he took somebody prisoner. Among those prisoners was one little what? What was her name? Can anybody tell me her name? Nobody can tell me her name because we don't know her name. We don't know her name. We only know her for what? A little girl, slave, captive. And the problem with Naaman, you all remember, he was what? A leper. And one day his wife was crying. The little girl, that we don't know her name, walked in front of the room, see the lady crying. She is the wife of the man that most likely killed her parents and family and took her captive. See her crying, and she goes inside and asks, why are you crying? And he said, I'm crying because my husband is going to die. He has leprosy. Remember the story? Then she said what? If he goes and see my chaplain, the prophet, he can heal him. And we know the story, how he went out there. And I can imagine him like General Cavazos coming in those helicopters. He is going to Israel with money, gold, silver, a lot of presents, because he thinks that this prophet is going to what? To heal him. And we know the story. He goes over there. He stands in front of the house of the prophet. And the prophet came out. Is that true? No. He is expecting the prophet to come out and to raise his eyes into heaven and to say, God, please heal this general. But that doesn't happen. He stands in front of the house, and who comes out? The servant. And the servant tells him what? You have to go and take a bath. That's what he told him. And bath 7 times in the river. You know, remember at first he didn't want to do it. He was about to go home, and then came back, and his people said, his other officers and sergeants like you guys came up and said, hey, what do you have to lose? You're going to die anyways. The river has a lot of infection. You said, there are cleaner rivers where I come from. You're going to die anyways. So he finally goes in, and he gets clean. We all know this story. There are many lessons from there. I'm not going to repeat them, but this is what I want to leave with you. For those serving their government, for those in uniform, when he was healed, did he stop being a soldier? Did he resign his commission? Huh? What are you thinking? You don't know the story? You got the Bible. What do you think? Did he stop? No, he did not. He kept being a general. And can you help me? There is a verse that help me find it. Chapter 5. Okay, let's see. Okay, very good. I want you to read for our members here, and everybody look in your books, chapter 18 and chapter 19. Because one of the problems that you are facing is the military is asking me to do things. Should I do them or not? What about if they ask me to do something on the Sabbath? Should I do it or not? Don't read it yet. Don't read it yet.
Second.
Okay, don't read it yet. Not yet. Not yet. Okay? Those are the questions that you have. I was a chaplain in the military. And before you read that, let me tell you this experience I had. I received many times during the war in Iraq, I got up in the morning, on Sabbath morning, I put on my uniform, I walked into the base, and it's interesting because even today when I show my ID card and I walked into the base, people look at me, they get my ID card, they see it, they give it back to me, and they said, welcome aboard, Commander. So they welcome me, they always welcome me aboard. I go inside the base, Sabbath morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. There is a group of sailors getting ready to go to Iraq. I have a devotional, I pray for them. That could have been the last time that they heard a prayer before they died. And they went on, then I changed my uniform and I went to church. I was ministering to them. One time in another place, my commanding officer said, Chaplain, I need you to be here Sabbath, spend the whole day Saturday with us. We have a special training and you have to take it. What will you do? You know what I did? I called my commanding chaplain. See, my boss was, I was a major, he was a commander. His boss was a full bird colonel. The boss of the boss was a general. So I called the chaplain on the staff of the general, said, you know, I have this problem. And the chaplain says, Mario, you were given a direct order. He's not an Adventist. Just go to the base on Sabbath. I'll take care of it. Trust me. Put my uniform on. I went to the base. As I came into the building on Sabbath morning, because I was given a direct order, the commander of my commander, the boss of my boss, was at the door waiting for me. And he said, "What are you doing here? This is your Sabbath." And I said, "Yes, sir, but I was given a direct order that I need to show up." "Don't worry about it. Go to your church." I went to my church. The next time I came back to the base, my commander was not longer there. Was relieved of command for giving me a wrong order, an unlawful order. So sometimes you have to do things that you don't know how they're going to end up. But going back to the story of Naaman, let's hear what Naaman said to the prophet and what the prophet answered to him in reference to duties that he felt were not the best.
No. 2 Kings chapter 5.
Very loud.
Verses 18. It says, "In this thing the Lord pardon the servant, and that when the master goeth into the house of Rimmon to worship there, and he leaneth on my hand, and I bow myself in the house of Rimmon. When I bow down myself in the house of Rimmon, the Lord pardon thy servant in this thing." Verses 19. "And he said unto him, Go in peace. So he departed from him a little way."
Not only he never stopped being a general or a commander or a captain, whatever you want to call it, but he was so important in his kingdom that the king depended on him to go to his idol, to his church. And he said, "What should I do if I have to go inside the house of Raymond, this God he has, and I have to go with him?" And what did the apostle say? Go. The prophet said, "Go in peace." I don't know what that means, but I want you to think about it. There are many times that you're going to be put in very difficult situations. It is true. If you have other alternatives, it's fine. But if you choose to serve, especially in uniform, I know what it is. I know what it is to take orders. I know what it is when your faith is tested. But I pray and I ask you to remain faithful even though the skies is falling. Remain faithful until the end. Wear your uniform with pride. The day will come for you to retire. And never, 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 never leave God. Never, never stop supporting your church. We, your church, love you. We care for you. We are proud of you. We are thankful for the work and the service that you are giving to your country. May God be with you. May God protect you in everything you do, whether it's the army, whether it's the police, whether it's guarding the prisoners, and that one day very soon, if not again on this earth, in heaven, we can meet together with the general of the generals, that is Jesus Christ.
Thank you, Pastor. Thank you, Dr. Ceballos, for this wonderful testimony. We want to thank the Lord for his wise guidance in the subject matter. As we wind up, I'd like to invite the Secretary of Central Uganda Conference as our host to say a word, and I'll invite Pastor Sentongo to come closer right here. Pastor Alisenga wa Jeremiah.
It is a pleasure to stand before you this evening First of all, we want to thank God who has given us this day where we have been celebrating our presence before Him. I am so happy that we have worshipped with our brothers in uniform and sisters. This is not the first time you are worshiping. You have been worshiping, but today you came in full uniform to show to the church that we have brothers and sisters in UPDF, in prison, and in police. So that one has given a good picture, and it has erased some thinking that maybe we don't have people there. So I want to thank you for the role you are playing in this country on behalf of the church. Because when you are there and you introduce yourself that I am a Seventh-day Adventist policeman, I know His Excellency, he knows this church, and he knows the members who come from this church. And I know he loves this church. So we want to thank you on behalf of Central Uganda Conference, the work you are doing. Remember, this church is a militant church, because we have even a song which points at, which calls us an army, which we have to move forward. As we fight Satan, I'm sure we are together with you. Now, as the moderator was moderating the program this evening, and as I saw the people asking questions and responding, I felt that I think the soldiers, the army, the police, and the prisoners, you who are here, and you are church members, please, you can use some afternoons in your churches so that these things which confuse us, you can teach the church. You can teach the church how to go about in relationship with the police, with the prison, with the UPDF. Because there are many questions that wananchi don't understand. But people who are in uniform, they know them, they know how we should behave, they know how we should handle matters regarding as a person or in a community, how to behave in a community. So I'm just requesting you that use your chance of being in that office so that you can teach the church how to go about to be a good citizen. And remember one thing: if you are in police, in the army, and in prison, you are there to represent your God. And you are there to represent the church. Yes, I know. You may think that it was not the church who sent me there. But being a church member, and most of you, you have been introducing yourselves as church elders, you are there representing the church. When you fail, you will have failed God and His church. So as you are working and in this country, and you are working in that office, remember, you are representing God and your church. So I am requesting you, don't let the church down, don't let God down. I want to thank our leaders from the General Conference, leaders from the division, and from Uganda Union. Thank you for bringing this occasion to our country. Thank you for bringing these good lessons. I am sure that the participants have benefited. Therefore, this should not be the last time, but it should be the continue. From here, we continue to receive you and receive you until Jesus Christ comes. Continue to teach us in these areas so that we can become a knowledgeable church. On the side of the participants, you people who have gone through this seminar, it is one thing to study and another thing to implement. Most of us, we know what we have studied, but very few implement what they know. Therefore, I'm requesting you that you implement what you have studied in this seminar. And finally, I want to, on behalf of Central Uganda Conference, I want to wish you a safe journey. May God's mercies be upon you until you reach safely. And we may continue to serve him faithfully until he comes back. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Dear church members, having heard from our leader, the Executive Secretary of Central Uganda Conference, I now stand in for all the chaplains directors in Uganda Union to thank and appreciate our leaders right away from the General Conference, the Division, and Uganda Union for the tremendous work that is being done in the chaplaincy department, even to the men and the women in the uniform in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Dear our leaders, just accept that we are happy for the work that has been done the whole of this week. Most especially for us who are leading chaplaincy in the entire union in different fields and conferences, we have indeed appreciated your services with us. I want now to invite Superintendent of Police Nachintu Jacqueline. You have a word to us. You have a word to our leaders. You have a word to the church. You have a word to the ladies and gentlemen in the uniform. Please, could you come and then speak to us? You are welcome.
Happy Sabbath, church. Yeah. I have only one responsibility: to appreciate, on behalf of the officers, men and women in uniform, our dear pastor. I'll take this honor to present to you this small token from all these officers and men for being an inspiration to us, and I request that you receive it. Yes, Pastor. Yes, Pastor, that is a small gift from all of us. We really, really appreciate the words of wisdom you have given to us, and we do pledge to put it in practice. Actually, I should tell the church that we are indeed serving and representing the church in different capacities. As you see all of these officers here, they are leaders in the different churches where they are serving. And you don't know the pleasure you can feel when you're a civilian and you come to a police station and you find your own. Life becomes easy. Just like when you go to a hospital and the first person you see is someone you worship with. And on that note, I will request our Afande Kayongo to make the final remarks. May God bless you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, fellow officers. I'm privileged to stand before you, Pastor Sabelo and Pastor Ivan, Pastor Mwaka Longe, pastors of Uganda Union, CUC, and fellow Christians. It is a privilege to be here. We are very happy as men and women in uniform. I take this opportunity on behalf of all of us to thank Pastor Mumbere for making it a point that we congregate here today in our uniforms. I also take this opportunity to thank our bosses for allowing us come here in these ceremonial attires when this is not a national function. To prisoners officers, I took it upon myself and I text my boss, the Commissioner General of Prisons, that we are having an inter-forces Sabbath at Adventist Center, and I request to allow us attend in uniforms, in ceremonial uniform. He gave us a go-ahead without a lot of trouble. It was just a text message. And everybody who wanted to come here from prisons has been smartly dressed. I think the same applies to police and the army. Pastor Sengawa, we have come here. We have identified ourselves with the church. Now, it is the duty of the church to identify itself with us. You know, I came from Karamoja, and I was posted Ginger Remand. When church members knew that I was a prisoners officer, whenever I could go to associate with them, including church elders of Ginger Church, they could shut up. I realized later that these people were afraid of me because they were not used to people in what? So, if the church doesn't identify with us, after identifying ourselves with the church, we shall not come and impose our knowledge and experiences to the church. We shall just come as usual worshippers and we go away. Then, as we retire, we shall retire with our knowledge and experience that would have been good to the church. If you don't make a program for me to come here and I tell you what I know about prisons, the church, and the community, I will not come here and tell you where I will get that time. I will not. So, it is up to you to utilize the resources you have in this church for the growth of God's work. When I was an officer in charge of Chitaria prison, the church never sought permission to go and preach there. But they were baptizing people every month. You see? So, make use of us. 2, people, Adventists, don't want to join forces. You all know the quote of Mrs. G. White in the Book of Education, that the best want of the world is the want of what? Of men who will do what? And so the what? The truth, even if heaven does what? Fall. What does the army, what does the police, what does the prison want? They want upright men and women. You are running away from your responsibilities and leaving this responsibility to the drunkards, to the thieves, to the what? When they join these forces and they commit atrocities, you say the army is bad. But garbage in, garbage out. Yes. Let the church give this nation good people, we shall have good forces. I have come here to thank the church for the privilege given to us to congregate as men and women in uniform. Thank you very much. We ask for more. May God bless you.
Strong words and strong points. Yes, they are saying that they are Christians like we are, and they are good worshippers. Now, let them worship in music up front here. Because they want Dr. Sebalos and Dr. Ivan, Pastor Makalonge, men and women of uniform want to present a special item for you. Yes, for you to recognize that they do worship where they worship from. much. Okay, church. Those are the good voices from men and women in uniform in chaplaincy ministry. Thank you very much for that good piece of music. Dear our leaders from General Conference, the Division, and Uganda Union, the joy we have over what you have exemplarily shown really uplifts our souls to the soon return